On doomsday, my husband T-Main sued me for divorce, accusing me of being a failed mother and wife. He even demanded all the properties and custody of my daughter. However, inside the courtroom, I heard a shocking sentence. It was the voice of my 7-year-old daughter, Zariah, asking the judge, "Your Honor, can I show you something my mommy doesn't know?" The judge nodded his head. My daughter stepped forward, raised her tablet, and pressed the play button. When the video started, everyone in the room froze in stunned silence. Before the story begins, please leave us a comment telling us which state or city you are watching from. Do not forget to like and subscribe so this channel can grow and bring you more exciting stories. That morning began like any other in their home. Nala, dressed in simple clothes, had been toiling in the kitchen since dawn. The faint aroma of a hot breakfast mixed with the scent of detergent from the washing machine spinning in the laundry nook. Niala moved quickly but silently, making almost no noise. Over the years, she had learned to move like a shadow in her own home, an effort not to disturb the peace of her husband, T-Main. T-Main came down from the second floor. He looked immaculate. As soon as he appeared in his freshly pressed shirt, Nala immediately placed a mug of hot black coffee and a steaming breakfast plate on the table. Train sat down and took the mug without even looking at her. "The coffee is a little bitter today," T-Main said dryly, his eyes fixed on his cell phone screen. "I'm sorry, honey. I thought I measured it right this time," Niala replied in a low voice. T-Main did not respond. He simply pushed the breakfast away from his plate and ate a few spoonfuls in silence. Niala stood near the table, awkwardly waiting for any other order. There were none. The silence between them was so dense and cold that it seemed to freeze the hot steam rising from the coffee on the table. Niala had forgotten the last time they shared a breakfast filled with laughter. It was probably 2 or 3 years ago when T-Main started working late and his business trips became longer. "Is Zariah up?" T-Main asked without lifting his face. "Yes, honey, she is showering. She will be down for breakfast soon," Nala said. Sure enough, shortly after, the small sound of footsteps came down the stairs. Zariah, their 7-year-old daughter, ran toward them in her neat private school uniform. Her smile was bright, a stark contrast to the atmosphere of the morning. "Good morning, Mommy and Daddy." Zariah kissed Nala on the cheek and headed toward T-Main. He finally put down the phone and forced a slight smile toward his daughter. "Good morning, Princess. Finish your food. Daddy will take you to school." "Wow, I'm going with Daddy," Zariah exclaimed with joy. Niala exhaled a sigh of relief. At least in front of Zariah, T-Main made an effort to act with warmth. This brief breakfast hour was the only family time they had. As soon as Zariah finished eating, T-Main stood up immediately, grabbed his briefcase, kissed Zariah on the forehead, and headed to the front door. As always, he walked past Nala as if she were not there. Not a goodbye, not a kiss, not even a glance. Only the roar of his luxury car driving away left Niala alone in the vastness of her large house. Niala spent the rest of the morning with her routine, clearing the table, washing the dishes, doing the laundry, and tidying the rooms. She did it all with efficiency. She always strove to keep the house perfect. She thought that if the house was clean enough, if the food was delicious enough, if she was quiet enough, maybe the old T-Main would return. But the old T-Main seemed to have left a long time ago. At noon, Nala went to pick Zariah up from school. This was her favorite time of the day. She loved listening to Zariah chatter about her friends, her art class, or her lunchbox. "Mommy, today I got 5 gold stars from the teacher. I answered the question right." Zariah chirped happily, holding her mother's hand. "Wow, my daughter is so smart." Niala congratulated sincerely, pinching her little nose. When they arrived home, while Niala was helping Zariah take off her shoes, she heard the sound of a motorcycle pulling up in front of the main door. A uniformed courier shouted her name, "Niala, a package for you." Niala frowned. She had not ordered anything. She walked to the front door and received a large thick brown envelope. There was no sender name, only the logo of a law firm in the upper right corner. Niala's heart began to beat uncomfortably. "Who is it, Mommy?" asked Zariah, who had followed her. "I don't know, Princess. It's probably just junk mail. Go change and then we'll have lunch," Nala said, trying to keep her voice steady. After Zariah ran to her room, Nala sat on the sofa in the living room. Her hands trembled slightly as she ripped open the envelope. Inside was a thick stack of papers. The first sentence on the top page made Nala gasp for air. "Petition for dissolution of marriage." Nala's world seemed to stop. Her ears were ringing. She reread the words, hoping her eyes had deceived her. Plaintiff T-Main. Defendant Niala. Reason for the suit. The wife has totally failed in the fulfillment of her marital duties. Nala felt nauseous. Failed. She had dedicated her entire life to this house. She had given up her career at Timane's request. She had taken care of Zaraya. She made sure Timane's shirts were spotless every morning. What did he mean by failed? She continued reading the following chapters. Her eyes went out of focus at the demands Timane was presenting. The demands were cruel. Timane was not only asking for a divorce, but he was also requesting full custody of Zaraya, alleging that Nala was emotionally unstable and incapable of raising the child properly. And most devastating of all, he demanded the totality of the marital assets, including the house they lived in, with the argument that Niala had not contributed financially and that all assets were solely the result of Timane's efforts. Nala collapsed weakly onto the cold hardwood floor. The papers scattered around her, so that was why Timane had been so cold for months. This had been a plan hatched in secret behind her back. The front door opened. Timane had returned from work unusually early. He stood in the doorway, looking at Niala, slumped on the floor and then at the scattered papers. His expression was cold and without a shred of guilt. "Honey, what does this mean?" Nala's voice trembled and tears began to well up. Timane took off his shoes in silence. He walked over, loosening his tie. He did not deny it or explain. He simply said coldly, "It is exactly what you read. I don't want to live with you anymore, Nala. You have failed. You have failed as a wife and as a mother." Failed? Niala moaned in disbelief. "I have taken care of this house and raised Zaraya. Taken care of the house." Timane scoffed with disdain. "The only thing you have done is spend my money. Zaraya needs a better mother, a competent one, not someone who only knows how to cry and complain like you. But all the property, this house, and Zaraya, honey, you can't take them from me." Nala began to scream hysterically. Timane crouched down and looked at her with a sharp look filled with hatred that Niala had never seen before. "I can and I will. My lawyer has all the evidence gathered. You won't get anything, Niala. You will leave this house without a single dollar." Timane stood up and smoothed his suit. He looked toward the stairs, making sure Zaraya couldn't hear. "And get ready." Timane grinned a chilling smile that froze Niala's blood. "My lawyer says that even your own daughter will testify in court about how incompetent you are as a mother." Nala froze in terror and her heart shattered into pieces. Timane not only wanted to divorce her, but he wanted to destroy her completely. Nala did not sleep that night. After the cruel confrontation, Timane had retired to the guest room and locked the door as if Nala were a threat. Niala spent the night in her daughter's room, sitting in the chair by the bed, watching Zaraya's peaceful face as she slept. Her tears did not stop falling. How could Timane say that Zaraya would testify against her? Zaraya was everything to her. What would they have told her little girl? That thought tormented her more than any other accusation. The next morning, Timane acted as if nothing had happened. He woke Zaraya up, prepared her uniform, and took her to school. He did not speak a word to Nala. When Zaraya asked why her mother had puffy eyes, Timane answered with indifference. "Mommy isn't feeling very well, princess." After they left, true terror took hold of Niala. She had to fight. She couldn't give up on Zaraya so easily. She grabbed her phone and looked for the names of renowned divorce lawyers in the city. But the harsh reality hit her soon. Lawyers needed money, a retainer, a consultation fee. Niala realized she had no money. For all these years, Timane had only given her a monthly allowance, budgeted exactly for groceries and Zaraya's school expenses. There was no room to save anything. Her only hope was their joint account, the one she believed was their family emergency fund. With trembling hands, Nala opened the banking app on her phone. She entered the password with her heart hammering. When the balance appeared on the screen, Nala felt her legs fail. Zero. The account was at $0. It couldn't be. There should be hundreds of thousands of dollars in there. Nala refreshed repeatedly, hoping for a system error. But the number 0 stared back at her. She opened the transaction history and her eyes widened with horror. Over the last 6 months, Timane had been systematically withdrawing large amounts of money, transferring them to another account Nala didn't know. The last withdrawal had been made just 3 days ago, emptying the rest of the account. Timane had planned this. He wasn't just leaving. He had deliberately crippled her financially so she couldn't fight back. Niala cried in despair. How was she going to hire a lawyer without a single dollar? She remembered her wedding jewelry. She ran to her room and opened her jewelry box. It was empty. Only a few imitation trinkets remained. Timane had taken even her heirlooms. In her desperation, Nala remembered an old friend who worked at a legal aid agency. She called her and told her the situation between sobs. Her friend felt pity but couldn't do much except give her a name. "His name is Attorney Abernathy," her friend said. "He has a small office on the second floor of an old strip mall. He isn't an expensive lawyer, but he is honest and dedicated. Go see him. Explain your situation. Maybe he can help you. Nala had no other choice. With the little cash she had left in her purse, she hailed a cab and went to the address her friend gave her. Attorney Abernathy's office was exactly as her friend had described, small, modest, and located on the second floor of an old building with peeling paint. Attorney Abernathy was a middle-aged black man with thick glasses and a calm demeanor. He listened patiently to Niala's story without interrupting, only nodding occasionally and taking notes. When Nala finished, Attorney Abernathy exhaled a long sigh. "Niala, this is going to be an uphill battle," he said. In a low voice, "Your husband has prepared all of this very thoroughly. He doesn't just want a divorce. He wants to destroy you. I know, attorney, but I don't care about the properties. I just want Zaraya. Please help me. I don't have money now, but I will pay you. I will pay you in installments. I will do anything," Niala pleaded desperately. Attorney Abernathy looked at her for a moment. "Let's leave the money issue for later, Nala. What is important now is that we have to move fast. This lawsuit has already been filed. We have to prepare a response immediately." Attorney Abernathy asked Nala to wait. He left the room and returned a few minutes later with a folder full of photocopies. They were the lawsuit documents filed by Timane's side. "Your husband's lawyer is Attorney Cromwell. He is known for being sharp and not hesitating to use dirty tactics." Attorney Abernathy said firmly, "Let's see what evidence they have presented." Nola nodded. Her heart was beating hard. Attorney Abernathy opened the folder. The first page was photographs. Niala went into shock seeing photos of the interior of her house. Photos of dirty dishes piled in the kitchen, photos of the living room cluttered with toys, photos of dirty clothes piled in the laundry basket. "But this is unfair," Niala protested. "These are photos he took when I was sick. I had a high fever for 3 days, and Timane didn't want to help at all. He took them on purpose." "Niala, I'm afraid this is manipulated to make it look like you are a lazy person who doesn't maintain the house," Attorney Abernathy said with a bitter expression. They turned to the following pages. They were credit card statements. Nala saw a list of charges for luxury handbags, jewelry, and dinners at expensive restaurants she had never bought. "That's not me. I didn't buy these things." "Was it an additional card in your name?" asked Attorney Abernathy. "Yes, an additional one. Timane managed it. He told me to use it if I needed to, but he took it often, saying his main card had exceeded the limit. Oh my God, he set me up." Nala felt the world spinning. She realized that every small kindness from Timane was actually part of his evil plan. And then Attorney Abernathy stopped at a thick document toward the end. "And this is the most damaging thing, Niala." "What is it, attorney?" "It is the testimony of an expert witness, a child psychologist." Attorney Abernathy handed the report to Niala. She read it. The report was written in cold clinical terms. It said that the psychologist had conducted covert observations of Niala's interactions with Zarya. The conclusion was that Niala was emotionally unstable, neglected her daughter's needs, and was a detrimental mother to Zaraya's psychological development. The report recommended full custody for Timane for the mental health of the child. "This makes no sense. When was this observation done? I never met a psychologist." Niala's voice shook violently. "According to this report, the observation was conducted in public places at the park, at the mall, and when you picked up your daughter from school." Attorney Abernathy explained, staring at her. "That's crazy. Zaraya always seemed happy with me. This is defamation. Who is this psychologist?" Attorney Abernathy flipped the cover of the report. "Her name is Valencia, a lady named Drive." "Valencia," he said, "here are all her credentials. She seems very professional and convincing." Attorney Abernathy looked at Niala seriously. "Nala, do you know this woman, Valencia?" Niala shook her head, bewildered. Her tears began to fall again. "No, attorney, I don't know her. I have never seen her in my life." The reality of living under the same roof with the man who planned to destroy her was a silent hell. Timane had not left the house. He had simply moved into the guest room. The once warm house now felt like a frozen battlefield. With emotional landmines hidden in every corner, Nala had to live with her enemy, see him every morning, and pretend everything was normal in front of Zaraya. Timane executed his strategy perfectly in front of the child. He was the best father in the world. He used to come back from work earlier than usual, something he hadn't done in months. He brought expensive gifts. One night, he came back with a big box featuring a cartoon princess. "This is your new tablet, Zaraya," Timane exclaimed, hugging the girl. "This is much better than the old one. It has a better camera, and Daddy installed lots of games for you." Zariah's eyes shone. Wow, thanks, Daddy. Niala, who was folding laundry in the living room, could only swallow hard. Her heart ached. She knew what Timane was doing. He was buying their daughter's loyalty. Niala couldn't compete. She didn't have $1 to buy Zariah anything. You see, Princess, said Timane, looking at Nala with a sneer while turning on the new tablet. When you live with Daddy later, you'll be able to buy a new toy every week, unlike someone who only knows how to fold clothes. Nala stopped the movement of her hands. She had a knot in her chest. She wanted to scream. She wanted to insult Timane, but she couldn't in front of Zariah. If she got angry, it would only prove Timane's accusation that she was emotionally unstable. So, Niala just continued folding the clothes in silence, head bowed, letting Timane's poison fill the room. The terror continued daily. Timane systematically undermined Niala's authority as a mother. If Nala prepared dinner, Timane came into the kitchen, tasted the food, and said in front of Zariah, "Honey, the soup is a little salty again." "It's okay. Tomorrow, we'll order takeout." If Nala got ready to help Zariah with her homework, Timane interrupted her. "Let me do it. The way Mommy teaches you is too complicated. You're going to get confused." Nala felt smaller and smaller, more and more invisible in her own home. She began to doubt herself. Did she really cook badly? Was she really incapable of teaching her daughter? Timane played his role too well, making Nala seem like an inept woman. Zariah, trapped in the middle, began to show signs of confusion. It was clear she loved her mother, but she also enjoyed all the attention and gifts from her father. Sometimes Zariah clung to Nala as if seeking protection, but other times she seemed uncomfortable, especially after Timane whispered something to her. One night, Niala couldn't sleep. She walked silently to Zariah's room to make sure her daughter was okay. She opened the door slightly. Zariah was sleeping deeply. On her desk was the new tablet Timane had bought her. But as Nala got closer to tuck Zariah in, she saw something strange. Zariah's small hand was clutching something under the pillow. It wasn't her favorite teddy bear. Niala looked very carefully. Her heart skipped a beat. It was Zariah's old tablet, the cheap one with the screen cracked in several places, the one Nala always told her not to play with for fear the pieces of glass might hurt her. Niala frowned. Why did Zariah still keep this broken tablet? Why hide it under the pillow when the newer tablet was on the desk? Niala didn't understand. She thought it was just a child's emotional attachment to an old toy. She didn't know that broken tablet held a secret that was going to change everything. She returned to her room. Her mind was even more confused. The climax happened a few days later. Nala was waiting for Zariah to return from school. She had promised Zariah she would bake her favorite chocolate cake, but an hour passed after dismissal time and Zariah didn't arrive. Nala called the school. They told her Zariah had been picked up by Timane. Nala's heart sank. Timane hadn't told her anything. She called Timane several times, but he didn't answer. 2 hours passed. 3 hours passed. Niala was almost crazy with worry, pacing back and forth in the living room with tears in her eyes. It wasn't until 9 at night that she heard Timane's car. Zariah entered laughing, carrying a large bag full of things from an amusement park. Behind her, Timane walked calmly with a smirk. "Where have you been, honey? Why did you take Zariah without telling me? I was dying of worry." Nala shouted with a voice containing tears and rage. "Daddy took me to Wonderland Park, Mommy. It was so much fun." Zariah exclaimed happily. Timane looked at Niala coldly. "So what? I'm her father. I have the right to take my own daughter. Besides, you aren't doing anything at home. But you should have told me." "Why? So you could ruin our fun with your drama." It was then that Niala smelled it.